Hey everybody, I am on for the midweek message reveal for October 26th, which is today. Okay, so energetically, we just dealt with a really powerful new moon in Scorpio, and it also had with it a solar eclipse. Eclipse season is something that we've moved into now, and eclipses are kind of like if you think of taking like a bottle pop and just shaking it up, it's going to kind of kickstart something that is already part and parcel of what it is, right? So the fizz is there, it's there, it's there. But when you shake it and agitate it, it causes a chemical reaction to occur, and there is a want for something to be released or to come of that effort, that efforting. So it's not to say that there is a negative behind these things. It's just to say that whatever it is that you're working on is going to have more of a punch. It's going to be a bit more assertive, maybe a little bit aggressive, but not aggressive in a bad way, more just like aggressive in a like in your face kind of way. So with scorpionic energy, as I talked about last week, we're dealing with transformations, we're dealing with death and rebirth, we're dealing with energy that really wants to be uncovered and secrets and things like that that want to be unearthed. So if you find yourself kind of looking and wondering about details, if you find yourself kind of in your feels, this is part of it. So just know that you're in the flow. As far as how everyone is feeling, you may be feeling sluggish, you may be feeling, kind of cranky and frustrated at times. And then all of a sudden out of nowhere, you're cool and then maybe a little emo. So just ride the waves of the time that we are in and know that this too shall pass. If it's something that's difficult for you, if you're doing just fine, just keep on trucking. So it's different for everyone. If you do have high placements in Scorpio that are in your chart, or maybe even have a lot of water in your chart as well, you may be kicked off a little bit by the water sign energy that's happening here with Scorpio. All right, cool. So let's jump into your cards. All right, so one, if you picked one, your card is Divine Messenger. What a cool card. Really drawn to the figure here that is looking off to the side. And this incredibly huge hummingbird that's happening here. To me, this feels like distortion. And it also feels like a distortion of the self. And what I mean by that is not necessarily a negative thing. It's more that things in your perception have shifted and things may seem and feel a bit more heavy and a bit more intense and a bit more dramatic than might really be what's happening. And some of this has to do with the energy of the time. Some of this has to do with the stage that you're in, group one. And some of it has to do with just not really wanting to pay attention to the stuff that's happening because there's almost like a languishing feeling. And that feeling of languishing is, there's boredom around it. There's, I'm looking for a change. I'm wanting something and I don't necessarily know what it is. So you might find yourself looking off into a different area. You may find yourself not really paying attention to the things that are happening, right? So if you take a look at the rainbow, which is all of the colors of the chakra system, but specifically if we look at the color of the hummingbird, which has a lot of green, there's a lot of heart healing here. And the heart itself is the divine messenger, in my opinion, with what's going on here with one. So there are things that you are wanting to connect back to one that you haven't really allowed yourself to be open to and open to in a heart space way. And what I mean by that is there's almost like a hardening that's kind of happening, a wall that's going up a little bit when it comes to really feeling your feelings and allowing yourself to be vulnerable. And this vulnerability is actually a huge strength, but it's uncomfortable. It's going to put you in a place where you feel kind of, and when you put yourself out there, you run the risk of being rejected. You run the risk of things not going your way. You could potentially make a fool of yourself if that's, the vibe. But really the message here is coming from the heart. It's coming from your own heart to yourself. Where can you show yourself some love and also some appreciation for a lot of the stuff that you've been doing? Hummingbirds are a great sign of spirit coming through. So this is this is also your ancestors, your loved ones, those who have crossed, those who have come before you who are showing up. So lean on that, ask for those signs, ask for that connection, because you can have that, what's the word I'm hearing, like bolstering, fortitude, kind of like the support that you're looking for, and which will allow you to be a little bit softer, a little more gentle, and express yourself a bit more, because that's how you're going to be bringing in that vibe that you're looking for. That's going to be the thing that's going to kind of turn you and change you from being in a state of languishing to being in a state of looking and seeking. And that looking and seeking leads to action, leads to an active movement. Okay. There is some heaviness I do feel in the chest space that's kind of moving up into the throat. So you may be feeling, just a bit down, but that's down energy, not necessarily down in a physical sense. So just allow yourself some space, allow yourself some time to connect with yourself. Are you taking a couple minutes to kind of say, like, how do I feel about this? Or how am I doing today? Or, have you checked in with you instead of everyone else? Because that's what you need to do. Number one. All right. If you picked 2, your card is Springtide. Come on, camera. Work with me. Okay, kind of working on it. So Springtide has to do with the opening of something, the beginning of something. If we think of the time of spring, we think of things that are growing, things that are blooming and blossoming, things that are coming into life. And this is a time for you to really kind of appreciate the trials that you have gone through recently and the things that you have dealt with. You've come through a real winter in a sense. And that winter, is when things are no longer fresh and verdant and giving fruit. There's been kind of even getting kind of like drought vibes. There's been just a feeling of lack, a feeling of scarcity, almost as if you're unable to really take the things that you want. And there seems to be a lot of wanting. There's a lot of longing. There's a lot of, I wish I had, I wish I could, I want this, I wish I could have that. But you've really kind of held yourself back. Now is the time to allow yourself to take. So shift from that we should save kind of mode, not to say in a money sense or anything like that, but like, maybe I'll do this later. I need to do this first. Or, I'm going to put off getting myself this because we need to pay for that. Or I don't have time to take for myself for the afternoon because I, might need that later for something else. It's almost like things are being kind of saved for a rainy day, but not necessarily in a way that's serving you. And you're allowed to kind of take from that bank of time, energy, space, fun. Like, allow yourself to go out and do something fun. Allow yourself to have reap some of the rewards of the things that you're putting out there, because they're there and they are growing and coming into fruition. Really drawn to the butterflies, which are spirit. We have lots of spirit energy that's coming around here. So you may be having loved ones visiting. I'm actually feeling a lot going on here at the top of the head on the left side. Dreams, highly symbolic, maybe a little weird. And it might be something that's kind of coming on later in the day to where you're kind of like, what? That kind of descends out of nowhere, where when you first wake up, you have an idea as to what you were dreaming about, or at least maybe have like a category of, or a place or a scene or something like that. And then it just fades real quick. But later in the day, you may be getting these kind of daydreamy kind of vibes that are tying you back to that dream time. So now is a really fertile time for you to think and dip yourself mentally, physically, spiritually into a space where you are starting to create the things you want. Think about a vision board. Think about writing down the things you want. Think about talking about the things that you're interested in with someone else, because words are spells. When you bring something through you and you give it breath and you give it meaning and you give it symbol, you bring it into this reality and you bring it into this existence. So treat yourself that way. Allow yourself to relish in all of the work that you've done because you've come through some heavy shit. So treat yourself. Treat yourself. DJ Roomba. I missed that show. Okay, moving on to 3. Clouds of 9 if you are group 3. Okay, look at her. Isn't she cute? So big energy here around 9, first off. It's literally spelt out in the card. 9s are about finishing something that needs to be completed. You're at a stage where you're closing things up. So you've gone through what feels like something that may have been going on for, I don't know, it feels like 8 to 10 months of something that has been like a process. And this process is something that has come to a close, or at least is at a place where you can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel, right? And it's almost in the way of getting you to the next space. But understand that this pause, this delay, or this what seems like an obstacle or maybe like a roadblock. I'm hearing roadblock. I'm hearing construction. I'm seeing like construction cones. I'm getting like a big, literal big rock that's in the middle of a path that wants to, that you want to either walk through or drive through or get through. Understand that this is here for a reason. This time, this thing that is standing in the way of you getting from point A to point B, but it's not going to be there forever. It's designed to get you to a place where you feel contented that no matter what happens, you know that you have you. So this is about trust. This is about leaning back onto yourself and knowing that you've got your back. And without this obstacle, without this thing that has been there, you wouldn't have really had the time that it took to get you through that goo stage of the butterfly. And it's interesting, we got winged creatures in every card. But here with her wings. And she's got this like sort of giggly kind of look on her face where she knows something's up. So she's waiting, she's calm, she's patient, she's ready to create. She's wanting to be, I don't know, just even fine with the fact that nothing else is moving on around her and she is just simply there. So this obstacle is something that has allowed you to get to a place where you know yourself better. You know yourself in a truer sense. You've accepted parts of yourself that you maybe have experienced for the first time, or it's something that has come from the past that you kind of forgot about and it's kind of in your face again. And it's not a bad thing. It's actually a great thing because you see how much you've changed and how different you are and how much you've grown. Give yourself a big pat on the back. Yes, like acknowledge these things. Every card is kind of the same there with that vibe where it's, you've done a lot of work. You've done a lot of work. Allow yourself to like have a moment where you go, yeah, I'm proud of myself. Now that's not to say like stop what you're doing, not continue, take, 2 weeks off and just say, fuck it. Although, I mean, it's your life. You can do what you want. That's not what I'm saying. It's more like acknowledge the fact that this thing that's in the way is in the way for a reason because of divine timing. And it's also because, you're kind of cooking. You're cooking yourself to a point where you're not done yet. You're almost there. You're almost at that point. And you know that on the other side of this, once this thing that's kind of in the way, it's not terrible. It's just kind of ever present. Once this thing moves, once time has passed enough to where you can kind of let it go and it's not so, I even see it becoming smaller. It's almost like it's dissolving. The importance around it is dissolving. The drama that was created around it is dissolving. The tension, the stress around this thing, even though whatever it is, how it has come to a close may not be how you envisioned it. It's purposeful and you're in a better place of acceptance. And that's a beautiful place to be. I am getting a lot in the hands, in the fingers here with 3. So really allow yourself to take, allow yourself to have, allow yourself to hold. Know that there is nothing wrong with you being 100% yourself, and you're going to get through this. You're already through it, actually. You're in a completely different place. All right. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed the messages this week. If you'd like to work with me, please feel free to reach out, check my link. And I would love it if you would give me some feedback. Let me know how this landed for you. And if you'd like to share it with someone else, that'd be really cool too. All right. Have a fantastic week, and I will check y'all later. Peace.